Thank you. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Today is Wednesday, March 2nd, 2016. It is 4:30 in the afternoon, so we shall begin our council meeting. May I first have a roll call?
Pete Hamill.
Here.
Randy Funker.
Here.
Brad Hintz.
Here.
Greg Gills. Zach Sawyer.
Here.
Thank you. Before we get into the agenda, I would like to invite Jet Corver to come up. We are going to make this official. Well, it's up to you. What's a better photo opportunity for Mom? This will be good. We can both talk about it picked up by the microphone. So if you would please repeat after me, raise your right hand. This is the Sheldon Police Department Peace Officer Oath of Office. I, Jet William Corver, being duly sworn, on oath do say, that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of the state of Iowa, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of police officer according to law and the ordinances of the city of Sheldon, to the best of my ability, so help me God. Congratulations.
Don't stab them all.
Yeah.
Be a first stabbing.
Push hard to go through that vest.
Yeah. See if it works.
You got a vest underneath there?
Weren't we talking about trying that out with the old ones that need to be replaced?
No, we know they can't work.
Yay. Okay, thank you again, Jet. And now, on our agenda, first item is public comments. Now would be the time, if you have any public comments, to come up to the podium. Please state your name and share your public comment with us.
I'm Marv Van Riesen. By the way, congratulations, Jet. First, some public comment. There's several things on the agenda I want you to consider, please, before we get started. There's this item about coming up about the event center. I respectfully ask you to hold off on this a bit. It seems like it's a freight train going on the track. When this first started, we were told that we were going to have plenty of time to put input and so forth. And I really don't feel that this community has had near enough input for the stage we're at. We have not seen a business plan. I have seen report that at best there's some inaccurate information in it, and some deceiving, and some a lot of ifs to make this thing work. Now, I'm not all that opposed to maybe having something to go dance in or whatever you have to do, but I think we have to be reasonable. And I think at this point it's getting a little bit unreasonable. I would like to see a vote on it for one thing. Orange City just went to a vote of a fire hall, and they got it passed by 84%. The reason they did that, they got the support of the people. And they spent time doing it. And I would hope that you would consider doing that. This isn't fun and games. This is very serious business. I'd like to know, according to that report, we're going to lose well over $100,000 in revenue. I have not seen where we're going to get that revenue to pick up that shortfall. And we're talking about taking bids. How could you possibly bid something? You don't even know where the money is going to come from. That alone lose it. I went up to my local banker and I put a scenario out there like that, and I'll guarantee you there isn't anybody here that get a loan on a deal like that. It's just not reasonable. I would suggest that you hold off for at least 60 days, give a little more time for a little more input. Let's get the public up to speed and see what we can't do. If you think you need something, see what we can't possibly do to get costs down or so forth. There's a lot of questions I have, other than one little hearing that, let's face it, those amount to virtually a rubber stamp. And see what we can't do then. I think the public would appreciate that. And I think it caused a lot of goodwill in the community. And get the public back on track. Thank you.
Thank you, Marv. Are there any other public comments at this time?
Will we be able to raise questions when you're talking budget? At the budget?
If you have a question, you can bring that up now.
Yeah, the budget's a public hearing, so.
Oh, that's true. I'm sorry. What we'll do is after the public comments now, during the budget, we have a public hearing, and that's when you can come up. So if you have a question now, we can do it, but we can wait till the public hearing. Gotcha. Any other public comments? Not related to the budget. Okay. We will move on to number 2 on the consent agenda. Are there any questions or comments regarding the consent agenda? If not, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Support.
Thank you. May I have a roll call, please?
Hamel.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Funker.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Thank you, Scott. And now we'll open the public hearing on the fiscal year 2016-17 budget. The public hearing is now open, and this is when you can come up and make comments regarding the budget.
Thank you, Bob Engel. I really, I've got questions more than comments.
Okay.
And one of them that was in the paper said that property valuations are up, which is very welcome news. Now, I guess that depends on if you're on the paying end of taxes or if you're on the spending end. And I know my property taxes since 2011 have gone up 40%. And the question I have is these property valuations, is this because of new properties that are being built, or are we going to get from the county assessor, are we going to get an increase in our valuations?
The valuation assessments are done by the county assessor. We don't determine the valuations, so.
But do you know, are they going to be raising them in Sheldon?
I honestly don't know. That's the valuation numbers we get from O'Brien and Sioux County. So it's a combination probably of the valuations going up of the properties in town and also the new development that has taken place over the last 2 years by the time it actually comes on the tax rolls.
Okay, now, when if they raise the assessment, I mean that, and everybody's spending the same amount of money, the millage rate will just go down. That, but if they raise the assessment and my taxes go up, that means we're spending more money than what we did the year before. Correct?
Correct.
Now, I've got a couple questions on the first of all, on the revenue. The TIF revenues have gone up considerably. They're up $542,000. Now, I don't totally understand how these TIF things work, but if this TIF money is put in to the new event center, that I thought that the TIF money was there to draw out businesses and get businesses to build, and then that'll raise the taxes some more and bring in more revenue. But if the TIF money goes to the event center, that will never do anything for the revenue as far as property taxes. Is that correct?
Yes, I would say that's incorrect.
Right.
It's incorrect?
Yes. We put in streets, water, and sewer. That does not add to the valuation base.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm just talking about the event center.
Yeah, and I'm talking about TIF as it related to whether the event center or what you use TIF for. TIF itself, as far as what it's used for, if it's for putting in infrastructure for an event center, it in itself does not generate property taxes. The benefits that are created from that, whether it's putting in infrastructure or developing an event center, creates the tax base.
Is the TIF money primarily used if there's where we have it out there now that TIF money goes into the pot and it's used out there either for new construction or roads, or it's not used down in this part of town, right?
It is. There's areas on this end of town that are also in the TIF district.
Okay,
There's different TIF areas that we have throughout the community.
okay. And then I see the total expenditures are up $1.4 million, and that's about similar to the ending fund balance that is down $1.4 million. Now, if I use that in language I can understand, that ending balance would be like your checkbook balance at the end of the year. Is that right?
Correct.
Basically, yeah.
Okay, so this is going down about from 2015 to 2016. That checking account balance is going down by about a third. So in 3 years, that'll be gone.
Not correct. If we'd continue to operate that way, but a lot of those items from the transfers that are being made from reserves. A good example is emergency services for the new ambulance, and the items in there comes out of a separate reserve, so you have to show it as an expense. So it doesn't mean that we're spending that as operating money. It could be used as one-time capital money being transferred out of reserves.
But
So to say we're operating that way and in 3 years that there won't be anything there is not correct.
Yeah, going back to my example of the ending balance being your checking account, then these other funds, if you're short in the checking account, you have to bring in, and like in my case, from the savings account to cover that shortage.
If we're short in the checking account, but we're not short in the checking account.
No, but if we continue $1.4 million each year, we will be in 3 years.
That's, like I said, though, that's not operational money. That's capital expense money, and that's not an every year expense.
No, but it still affects the balance,
Okay.
okay?
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, Marvin Reese, I have some comments on the budget and so forth. First off, on the TIF revenues, the event center would not bring in any property tax. I'm correct on that, right? They don't
Hold
pay
on,
property
this is
tax.
about the budget for 2015,
Right,
or
that's
16,
in the
17.
budget, right? All the TIF center, that is not in the
It
budget?
is not.
No.
No,
Well, how are you gonna pay for that out of the, how are you gonna pay for that thing if it isn't in the budget for this year?
It's not budgeted to be in a separate bond.
So you don't have to count that in the budget because how come?
Depends on what year it comes out of. Will that be expended this year as part of a bond or in the next budget year?
Okay, so everything's gonna be paid out of next year's?
That hasn't been determined yet.
it hasn't even been
See,
approved
that's
yet.
what I'm saying. It's hard to go through this thing until we even know. I mean, we're sort of caught between a rock and a hard spot. I'm asking questions that we should be knowing. We should know this stuff before we even start talking about this stuff.
Marv,
You see?
we're going to find out information when we have our final
Yeah, well-
design proposal later this afternoon.
I'll tell you what, March 15th isn't that far away, Trish.
True.
It doesn't give us much time for questions. And then another issue, you just made government bigger this past year. I believe it was-
Hold on, is this about the budget?
No, yep, it sure is.
All right.
It sure is.
About our
There-
fiscal budget
it
for
sure
16,
is.
17?
It sure is. Let me finish, please. You created a position with industrial development job, correct? That's paid out of the general budget.
It is
Am I
not.
correct on that?
Wrong.
None of that's paid, that is not a city job?
For the community development director position, that is not.
So we don't pay any of that out of city money? Any
The
of it?
only portion we pay is the benefits.
Yeah, the manager. What'd you say?
The benefits,
The
not the
benefits.
salary portion of the
Okay,
position.
That part's in the budget.
It's in the budget or whatever,
Sure,
but it's
okay.
actually as a transfer from
Right.
SCDC.
Right. Well, I would suggest that we stop that benefit thing that's in that budget, because the reason you did that is to retain an SEDC director. Well, it's obvious that isn't working either. And benefits add up. Well, SCDC director's gone. So why not just put that whole business back in the SCDC and let that organization worry about all that stuff? Then the taxpayers don't have to worry about that. Them bennies, that adds up in how much the benefits add up to. Are you talking insurance benefits and all that other stuff? That adds up. What's a benefit package on something like that?
I'm not
No
sure
idea.
the exact
Okay.
number on that.
For sure.
But anyhow, I suggest that you take that out, put that back out of the city hands, because it's obvious that isn't working, because we already lost our SCDC director, and it was told that we're going to retain a person that way, and it didn't happen. But that's my comments on that.
So how do we have control if he jumps to another job?
We
Well,
don't.
that's just it. That's why I was wondering why you
And
did
how are you
this.
gonna attract anybody new?
You know, well,
That doesn't make sense.
Thank you. Any other suggestions about the budget, Marv?
he asked me a question. Councilman asked me a
Well, I
question.
don't
Yeah.
think the position about the salary and the benefits is something to negotiate during the budget. That's part of the,
That's right. I'm asking you to take it out. The
you
budget.
are asking us to
Out,
take us
right.
out. But that is an incentive when we are looking to fulfill that position. Now, the reason the person left, we don't know if that has to do with that, whether there is those benefits or not.
No, but when you
Can't use that as an example.
gave that out, you said
It's
that
one person.
we were told that
Yes, and
it would
maybe
be
it will.
retained that way.
Maybe it'll entice new people. We're not sure exactly what his personal preference is. Thank you for your comments, Marv, and your suggestion. Any other comments or suggestions on the public hearing for our fiscal budget 2016-17?
Make the motion to close public hearing.
Thank you.
Second.
And a roll call to close the public hearing?
Bunkert.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Public hearing is now closed. Taking into consideration the public comments that we did receive. Need to get this open. And now you need a motion to approve our budget. Do we have a motion to approve, or are there any comments that we want to talk about or things to discuss regarding our budget? If there is no discussion or comments, then we would look for a motion to approve the budget for fiscal year 2016 and 17.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Last request for questions, comments.
Just want to make a comment that the staff did an excellent job on preparing the budget and the budget hearings for us. So, thank you.
Thank you, Brad. I'll take a roll call, please.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye.
Hint.
Aye.
Bunkert.
Aye.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is we'll have a little discussion regarding the SCAT staffing. And Cindy, did you want to come up and share any of that information with us? And we can ask questions if needed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm just here to ask the council to consider adding RNs to our schedule staffing so we can provide ALS transports. So I think there's a need, and I'd like SCAT to be able to meet that need.
And with this request, the amount that we would pay for the registered nurses would be covered, because then we would be able to pay more if that
Charge more.
charge more. Thank you. I said pay more. See, I can't talk today. Charge more to
Correct.
cover that expense, because we will have a difference in the BLS to the ALS. Thank you.
Got that right?
So there really is no expense out. It's a wash, if not a little more that would be,
And it would also
Brought in.
improve our EMS service.
yes, because we don't have that now.
Not very many.
Thank you.
Go
And your
ahead.
recommendation is to bring on how many?
I don't have a recommendation on how many. I would see how many are interested.
Okay.
They would not do 911 calls.
Mm-hmm.
They would
Okay.
do transfers.
Okay. So as many that could be interested as possible would be good, because then we have more to choose from.
Yes, and they would be able to pick their schedule.
Does help with the staffing issues as well.
Yeah, I think it would, yes. If we had RNs down on the schedule for transfers, then we wouldn't have other people scheduled to do those transfers, so it would just...
Wonderful. Okay.
Does there seem to be a pool of talent to draw on there?
Well, I did my own little survey, and I got a good response.
Okay.
And of course, they'd have to be qualified
Sure.
for those transfers, but
Okay.
Okay.
And with the added increase in charging and stuff, does that fall in the state guidelines?
absolutely.
So we're asking to approve hiring registered nurses at the amount of $22 per hour, not on an on-call basis, but as an as-needed. Then the charged fee would go up based on that person being there. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything as I read through my notes. And it'll help fill a void that we have right now. Are there any questions for Cindy, or is this something we want to take a motion to approve?
So move.
Support.
Thank you. Any other, if there is no other discussion? Roll call, please.
Hamel.
Aye.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Funkert.
Aye.
Kent.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cindy.
Okay. Number 5 on our agenda is the presentation of the final design coming from Mike Bell and his group.
First of all, I'd like to thank you, Mayor and Council, for having us here again. Look forward to presenting to you the latest plans for the Sheldon Regional Event Center. Sit down. I'll have my team introduce themselves when we get to their portion of the plan.
It might take a second to warm up. There it comes. There it comes.
Right. So don't turn it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it takes a little bit to warm up when it's been off, so.
Kind of like me.
Yeah, gotta get going.
Couldn't help myself.
We are thrilled to present to you the Sheldon Regional Event Center. We've developed the master plan for the original park, and now we are developing a plan for phase 1 of the event center. This includes the building itself, the drive access to, parking lot for it, including accessible access. We're also making sure that this plan is seamless for future development. Our goal is to make the site within the park extremely attractive so that we could market this property for development so that it would have taxable income. The benefit of that is the parking that we're developing would be shared with this development. The infrastructure that we're developing for this facility would be shared with this development, and that we can utilize both our property and this future property seamlessly. We also think it's wonderful that it has great proximity to the lake, and that we have opportunity for not only hard surface parking, but significant overflow parking for small, medium, and large events. Jason, if you wouldn't mind, please.
Good evening, Jason Egebrod from Beck Engineering. We're on the slate to project engineering and administration for the civil portion, including the sanitary, sewer, and water services, as well as site grading. And as Mike pointed out, this is the design that we're at presently. It's our understanding or reasoning that this is economical,
solution to provide safe alternatives and feasibility, as well as provide traffic flow for the requirements that we anticipate seeing for the future events. We're planning on utilizing the geometry of the existing roundabout by utilizing islands similar to the existing islands out there. This will provide pedestrian and vehicular traffic flow. The curved main entrance will be aesthetically pleasing and also maintain feasibility and utilizing site conditions. Currently have a straight-through portion for direct drop-offs at the main door, as well as what we would consider a left-hand turn lane for those who want to go directly to the parking stall. This will also benefit if there's congestion at the main entrance. Anything in light gray is what's proposed to be 6-inch vehicular paving, and the darker gray shaded areas are 5-inch pedestrian traffic. As pointed out there, roughly 120 stalls is slated for now with, as Mike mentioned, overflow parking to the southeast and to the north for larger events. Also included in this would be the proposed sanitary sewer service that will hook into the existing sanitary line up near the roundabout. And it's a little difficult to see, but we also have the water service the main line running east-west and south side there. The existing.
We're also looking at ways in which we can effectively light not only drive the parking lot, but the pedestrian zones. The yellow are overhead lights. Each color is more of a pedestrian light. These are the adjacencies next to the building. I think the benefit of this that we found specifically when we went down to Des Moines and toured a variety of facilities. The location here sells the building. The views to the lake sell the building. The proximity to your new development sell this building. And so having lawn that will turn into gardens someday, drop off, really make this a facility in Northwest Iowa. These are some of the illustrations that we just recently developed of this building.
Hello, my name is Sam Hayes with RDG, an interior design studio. If we kind of move into the interior here, we're pretty set on this layout. The space, the Great Hall will seat around 400 people. The last thing we're kind of trying to nail down is the kitchen area, the layout of that based on the appliances. And I'm going to kind of walk over here and use this, but we also have it up on the board. So I might just bring it out a little bit. Yeah, that works. So these two boards kind of work together here. This one shows the tile pattern being used in the building. It's got a combination of warm and cool tiles, which work well with the stone that's on the exterior, but that's also being brought into the interior of the building. As you make your way into the foyer, we've got a combination of a stone look, warmer tile with a wood look plank, and those accent bands happen and coordinate well with the architecture of the coffers and the ceiling. Those two tiles can be seen right here on this board. And then as you make your way into the Great Hall, we've added in a cooler tone of the stone look to act as that accent band happening within the wood look tile. The restrooms have a separate tile that's got that warm and cool again shown down here. And then the walls just have a tonal plank for protection on those wet areas. For the carpet in the lounge and the office space shown over here, it's kind of this matrix look. It's got a little bit of a color in it, accent color of blue which then coordinates to some of the paints that were chosen. The walk-off carpet here is used in the vestibules. It just helps pick up some of that dirt as you walk into the building. Lastly, for any of the counters in restrooms, kitchens, boardroom, green room, has a solid surface. It'll hold up well. It's a really durable material, but also looks nice, adds a nice element to the space. And then for the walls in the space, kind of move into some of the interior renderings here, you can see some motifs happening with what will be this wood wall covering and then a darker trim piece. The next slide, I think, kind of shows some of that a little bit better. And then above, about an 8-foot line, we'll be doing an acoustical wall covering to kind of help with some of that sound. The coffers will also help with a lot of that sound, and absorbing some of the noise in the space. The last kind of material I haven't pointed out was the laminate, which will be used on vertical surfaces underneath the work. It'll be adjacent to the solid surface.
Would like to thank the steering committee, members of council that have participated in this planning effort, and the public that has participated in this. It's going to be a beautiful building. It's going to be to not only Northwest Iowa, but Iowa. I have a chance to do park projects all over the Midwest, and this will be a wonderful facility that does serve in not only Iowa, but Northwest Iowa. The project schedule, we're moving quickly towards completing construction drawings. Our goal is to finish a set of drawings. We give that to a third-party estimator on Friday. They've already reviewed the prices once. They've provided we're considering the budget. We're having them look at the documents one more time to make sure that we're within that threshold. I know that the steering committee is always asking me how can we more effectively meet the goal of the project, be on budget, but also really focus in on life cycle costs. An example of that would be we proposed originally 70 parking stalls. We realized with some analysis from a construction standpoint, it would be much more cost beneficial to build 120, 126 immediately, because if we delay in that, the cost would be substantially more than building it now. So we're taking a mindset of budget, but also be as cost effective as we possibly can, not only in the initial construction, but a life cycle cost. Another example is using higher quality of lights from a LEED standpoint, so the cost of running the facility is less. There might be a small increase in cost of those systems, but we're looking at system by system to make sure that we can be as effective as we possibly can, but not increase any long-term management maintenance of this facility. Thrilled to be working on this project. It's a great project. I'm very happy with my team. Where we're at right now are finalizing some of the details, and we're analyzing that cost so that we can come in as effective as we possibly can. In fact, we're looking at ways that we package this project, whether it's a single contract or dual contracts. We're trying to make it as attractive to contractors, as clear to contractors, so that you can get the best price you possibly can. Questions?
So Mike, to follow up on the estimate, Stecker Harmson, if you remember, did the original estimate for us to come up with those numbers. You would anticipate in about another week we would have kind of an updated number based on here's our project now, here's all the details, versus just their original plan. So then by the next council meeting, we will have that information to analyze those numbers a little bit closer prior to putting it out to bid.
Yeah, so we have a great interest in hiring not somebody within our firm, but somebody who's not affiliated with you or with us to take a look at drawings. And then they place prices, construction prices on them. Say they looked at them in a very preliminary state, and they will look at them almost as they are finalized from a construction documentation standpoint. And so based on those two understandings of cost, we'll have a pretty accurate understanding of what this thing will cost the next time we get together when it goes out. So when it goes out to bid. I would say this, that based on the numbers that we've had passed by Stecker Harmson, there are things that we have valued up. construction of the parking lot so that we can provide more surface parking, accessible parking lot. The terrace, we found when we went to Des Moines, the outside environment and the inside environment to have capacity so that you can bring people outside in number, and that's what will help market this place. So we're looking at items, identifying what we want to bring into this project, and then we're trying to offset that cost by deductions elsewhere. For example, the parking lot was twice the amount of cost because we had substantial boulevards in the way that we're managing stormwater. And so we are trying to balance. If we are going up in one area, trying to reduce in others. We'll have a better understanding if we've been successful with that in about a week. Other questions?
Brad, Zach, do you guys have any additional, thoughts, comments, anything you wanted to maybe point out? They're the ones from the steering committee standpoint, from the council perspective, been involved, I guess, in the process. Now we're looking for, I guess, from a direction from the final design to, give direction back to Mike to go to his team to say, we're comfortable with what we have here today to, get that final estimate put together so we know where we're at, and for them to complete some final things in their construction documents to be prepared to put it out to bid. So
I would have to say that I'm very pleased with where we're at. It's been great working alongside you and your team as well as the steering committee. I feel completely that we have a building that will not only appear very attractive, but also functionality-wise should work out great.
I would like to say it's been a joy working with you, and I think one of the great interesting aspects of this project is we knew we were going to develop a building. The thing you asked me to do, Scott, is set aside a piece of ground so that we could start to receive taxable income from what is currently parkland that could be parceled out so that utility costs, parking lot infrastructure can be shared. I think that's spot on, good thinking when developing parks, see if there's a way to generate revenue, not only at the door, but in land development.
One thing I would like to ask about and make clear again, talking about the partitions between in the great room, about dropping them down, those are going to be lined with that soundproof material too, correct?
The great one says yes.
I thought that's where we were at, but I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, we just visited about that this afternoon to verify that again. We were looking at that material. So.
Wonderful. Go ahead, Pete.
How is the light going to be controlled? Sunlight?
We're going to turn it off.
Okay.
We're working through, the window will be tinted, and then there will be a system inside of that window to screen out that light.
Okay.
Because you will get a lot of light in space.
I think it looks great. Thank you.
I think there's been a lot of planning, a lot of thorough talks through the whole process of changing things and making it more functionable. The color schemes, the ceiling things for sound. It's just been a well thought through plan. We've put a lot of thought and effort in it amongst the committee, and I'd like to thank everybody that was part of it.
Functionality has been a high stress point. There's other facilities in the area that is a major complaint about. They're not very functional. So that was a high stress point on our agenda.
Great. And I would say a lot of it is our plan, and he designed it for us.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike. And now, any other comments or questions for Mike or his crew? Jason, Hannah, right? Jason and Hannah. Thank you both for coming also.
Just to update, Jason and Beck Engineering is also working with our Trails Board, Trails Committee, and whatnot. So they're incorporating of doing work here and also to try to incorporate the trails design that actually will tie in near or around this facility. So it's kind of nice working together to utilize that same firm to coordinate some of those details.
I do have one quick question. When did we first meet and start talking about this? Do you know that date?
Don't, because we started talking about the lack of open space.
Right.
Yeah,
It's been a
our
few
first
years.
master plan was completed in 2012, early 2012, so.
Okay. Didn't mean to put you on the spot, but
No,
I'm sitting here thinking, how long?
I'm getting old, I can't remember.
I can't talk today, but I've been trying to, sitting here looking at this, there was the dream, and now to see it on paper, on the screen, to have some of the samples, it's just, it made me just think, when was the first time we actually sat down and started dreaming of what it could be for Sheldon?
I think that whole plan even started back in early 2000 for that whole
Yes.
corridor. So
2002 was our first study. We did a joint project between O'Brien County, the city of Sheldon, and the Iowa Department of Transportation.
2002. Wow.
So
So,
it's been a long plan, and the pieces are coming together.
Yep. Again, thank you for all your work
Thank
that
you
you
very
do,
much.
listening to us, our changes, our whatever. You've done a great job, you and your crew. Thank you very much. So from here today, we need to seek approval to move,
don't
to have
need
Mike forward.
necessarily any action today unless there's any thoughts or anything to change there.
But that's our next step.
Yeah, the anticipation is, and depending on our next council meeting date, is to have a discussion in regards to the financing items once we have more information from our estimator on what that project is. I'm anticipating I'm going to have a number in regards to our CAT grant and where we're at there and what our potential gap is. I think that's a good time for us to have the additional discussions in regards to the operations, which the comment's been brought up. We've brought up a number of times to start discussing as far as, the numbers and the gap financing, where that's going to come from. Then basically as far as proceeding and moving forward from there. So unless there's any thoughts that you have right now on where we're at, I think we're good from our vantage point.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. And let's move on to our next item on the agenda, and that is the consideration of a sale in the Trilogy Village, lot in the Trilogy Village. It is Block 2, Lot 4, and it is to Paul Van Ruckel of Van Ruckel Rentals in the amount of $29,060. Thank you. Questions, comments?
Which lot was that again? Excuse me. Sorry.
It's
Lot 4, Block 2,
yeah,
Lot 4.
Block 2, Lot 4. It would be to the north
next
of
to
the
the other-
properties he has now.
The 2 fourplexes. Yeah.
North of what?
North, he has 2 properties now on 26th Avenue.
2 fourplexes.
Okay.
And it'd be just to that lot to the north of those.
Okay.
And this is full price for the lot, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? If not, is there a motion to approve the sale of the lot in the Trilogy Village?
Make the motion?
Support.
Thank you, gentlemen. Last request for questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Sawyer.
Aye.
Hint. Hint.
Aye.
Funkert.
Aye.
Hamel.
Aye.
We're going to keep going.
Yes, who moved?
I'm
Sawyer.
sorry.
Zach.
Yeah.
Randy made the motion. Zach supported it.
Yep. Thank you. Oh, sorry, Micah.
Sorry.
Yeah, Randy. Okay.
Taking notes on this today.
Okay. And number 7 on our agenda is the consider support for the Northwest Iowa Regional Trust Fund. We had briefly talked about this at our last meeting. Scott then provided a little bit further information and how much our pledge would be. I think in your notes you told us 5 homes in the past have been helped.
Yeah, I did get a hold of Carol Kaiser with Northwest Iowa Planning and Development just to get a basis on the program. To date, in Sheldon, the city of Sheldon, we've assisted 5 homeowners through this rehab program. There is 1 additional application that is under consideration as of right now. Total funding amount of assistance has been $31,235. Yet this year, there's $38,494 in the program, and in July we'll receive an additional $36,953 that's available, and those are O'Brien County funds, not just City of Sheldon funds. One of the items that I brought up, and we've in the past were probably a little more active on promoting this program. I think that's the biggest thing we need to do is make the community aware that this program's available, get the applications out there, make the people aware of what it is. What they're asking then in order for us to be a part of this is to add an additional $2,310.48. Then would cover our local match for a total of $2,500.92 for the Northwest Iowa Regional Trust Fund program. So with that, it would be my recommendation, now with the information, that I think we should be a part of this. I think it's a valuable tool for our community. It's income-based, but it's a rehab program that they can use for a variety of items, such as replacing their roof, windows, siding, electrical upgrades, furnace replacements, plumbing repairs, a water heater replacement, some of those type items, insulation. Those are all items that are available. So if we proceed, I think the first thing we do is to start marketing and getting the word out to let folks know, here's the application form, stop by city offices and pick that up. So
I think it's a great program. Seeing, that it was taken advantage of in the past, people have used it, and seeing the improvements in town is wonderful. Do you have any questions? Comments? And do we have a motion to approve?
So move.
Support.
Thank you. May I have a roll call, please?
Kent?
Aye.
Sawyer?
Aye.
Funkert?
Aye.
Hamel?
Aye.
And last on our agenda is the consideration of changing the council meeting date. We would like to change that to March 15, a Tuesday, but at 5 p.m. Instead of 4:30, we'd like to do it at 5 p.m. I can't be here at 4:30. I've got kids club. Will that work with everyone?
5 on Tuesday.
5 o'clock on Tuesday, March 15.
Yep.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve the changing of our council meeting date?
I'll make the motion.
Support.
Thank you. And a roll call, please.
Kent?
Aye.
Funkert?
Aye.
Sawyer?
Aye.
Hamel?
Aye.
First now all the time, so. It's gonna be-
Okay, and then last on our agenda is comments. Do we have any comments?
No comments.
Okay, just
sidebar one.
sidebar, yeah. I almost stopped one sidebar. I just want to say, back to the event center. This didn't happen overnight. We all know that. We've been working on it long and hard, and I think we're coming along well. I think we just keep answering questions that the public may have and keep moving forward. It's going to be a great asset for our community. So thank you to Brad and Zach for serving on that committee, and Scott, the effort you've put into it too. I appreciate it. It looks great on paper. The dream, I can't wait to see what it looks like instead of looking at the empty field out there. So thank you. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Oh, did you have anything?
Nope.
Sorry.
Anything else?
Okay.
Nope.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Support.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Hamel?
Aye.
Sawyer?
Aye.
Kent?
Aye.
Funkert?
No.
Thank you.
Beat you to it. We are adjourned.